Glucose is one of the most misunderstood substances in human health. Most people associate it only with diabetes, but glucose regulation affects energy levels, fat storage, brain function, hormone balance, inflammation, and long-term aging. Every time you eat, your body has to decide what to do with incoming glucose, and those decisions shape your metabolic health over time. When carbohydrates are digested, they are broken down into glucose, which enters the bloodstream. In response, the pancreas releases insulin. Insulin's job is to move glucose out of the blood and into cells, where it can be used for energy or stored. Problems begin when this system is repeatedly overwhelmed. In this video, you'll learn what actually causes glucose spikes, why they matter for long-term health, and how small changes to everyday meals can dramatically change your glucose response. These aren't rules to follow blindly. They're simple tools to help you observe, experiment, and understand how your body works, so you can make better decisions over time. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want more clear, science-based explanations like this. Now, back to this episode. Frequent large glucose spikes lead to higher insulin release, and over time, cells can become less responsive to insulin. This state is known as insulin resistance, and it sits at the root of many modern metabolic diseases. One of the simplest ways to influence this process is by changing the order in which you eat foods. When protein is eaten before carbohydrates, digestion slows and glucose enters the bloodstream more gradually. Protein also stimulates hormones like GLP-1 and peptide YY, which improve satiety and insulin response. This means that the same meal can produce a very different glucose curve depending on food order. This is important. One of the most powerful ways to understand this effect is to actually measure your own glucose response. Tools like continuous glucose monitors allow you to see, in real time, how different foods, and even the order you eat them, affect your blood sugar. Try eating protein and vegetables before carbohydrates, or combining carbs with fats, and watch how your glucose curve changes. Devices like Lingo make this kind of self-experimentation accessible, letting you see your glucose response on your phone as you eat. Find a link in the description if you want to explore that further and try it at home. The goal isn't perfection, it's learning how your body responds. Movement also plays a critical role in glucose regulation. Skeletal muscle is one of the largest glucose sinks in the body. When muscles contract, they can absorb glucose independently of insulin through GLUT4 transporters. This is why even light activity after meals, such as walking for 10 to 15 minutes, can significantly reduce post-meal glucose spikes. It is not about burning calories, but about directing glucose into muscle instead of leaving it circulating in the bloodstream. Another thing to take into account is liquid sugar. It behaves very differently from solid food. When glucose or fructose is consumed in liquid form, it bypasses many of the normal satiety and digestive checkpoints. There is minimal chewing, rapid gastric emptying, and fast intestinal absorption. This leads to sharp glucose spikes and little sense of fullness. Whole fruit, in contrast, contains fiber that slows absorption and reduces the glycemic impact despite containing sugar. Muscle mass itself is a powerful metabolic regulator. Individuals with more lean mass tend to have better glucose tolerance because muscle tissue continuously uses glucose for fuel and storage. Resistance training increases insulin sensitivity for hours to days after a workout. This is why strength training is not just about appearance or strength, but about long-term metabolic resilience. The combination of foods matters just as much as the foods themselves. Fiber slows carbohydrate digestion by forming a viscous gel in the gut that reduces glucose absorption speed. Fat delays gastric emptying, further flattening the glucose curve. When carbohydrates are eaten alone, glucose enters the bloodstream quickly. When they are eaten with fiber and fat, the rise is slower and more controlled, even if total calories remain the same. Timing also plays a role. Glucose tolerance follows a circadian rhythm. In most people, insulin sensitivity is higher earlier in the day and declines in the evening. Late-night meals often produce higher glucose excursions than the same meals eaten earlier. This is one reason why late eating is associated with poorer metabolic outcomes, independent of calorie intake. Sleep has a direct and measurable effect on glucose regulation. Even one night of poor sleep can reduce insulin sensitivity the next day. Sleep deprivation increases cortisol levels, which raises blood glucose and disrupts appetite-regulating hormones like leptin and ghrelin. Poor sleep makes glucose spikes more likely and cravings harder to control. Another common issue is carbohydrate stacking. When multiple high-carbohydrate foods are consumed in one sitting, glucose responses compound. The body does not reset between foods eaten close together. This leads to prolonged elevation of blood glucose and insulin. Choosing one primary carbohydrate source per meal instead of several can dramatically reduce overall glucose exposure. Certain compounds can modestly influence glucose response. Acetic acid found in vinegar has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity and reduce post-meal glucose spikes by slowing carbohydrate digestion and glucose uptake. While not essential, it can be a useful tool in meals that are higher in carbohydrates. Before we wrap up, let's quickly recap what actually helps support healthier glucose control. Eating protein before carbohydrates slows glucose entry into the bloodstream. Moving your body after meals helps muscles absorb glucose directly. Avoiding liquid sugars prevents rapid spikes that overwhelm the system. Building and maintaining muscle improves insulin sensitivity over time. Pairing carbohydrates with fiber and fat smooths the glucose curve. Eating earlier in the day works with your natural circadian rhythm. Prioritizing sleep protects insulin function. Avoiding stacking multiple carb-heavy foods in one meal reduces prolonged glucose elevation. And using simple tools like vinegar can further blunt spikes when needed. What matters most is not eliminating glucose or chasing perfect numbers, but reducing the frequency and magnitude of large spikes. Chronic exposure to high glucose accelerates glycation, a process where sugar binds to proteins and damages tissues over time. This contributes to aging, vascular damage, and inflammation. Stable glucose patterns support better energy, clearer thinking, and long-term health. Consistency outweighs perfection. Small, repeatable habits that gently improve glucose handling create meaningful changes over months and years. Metabolic health is built through patterns, not extremes. Supporting your body's ability to manage glucose efficiently is one of the most powerful things you can do for longevity. As always, I hope this helped you on your journey. Thank you for watching and for supporting this channel. Before you go, please remember to subscribe. If you'd like to go deeper, you can check out more episodes on nutrition on screen now. I'll see you back here soon. Goodbye.